Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm reviewing Cursed. It's a new fantasy series from Netflix. This is basically a twist on the Arthurian legend. If you're all familiar with that, I think we are. It's pretty much delved into popular culture. But this series posits what if the Sword of Legend, instead of choosing a king, chose a queen. So this show stars Catherine Langford as Nimue. She's basically she's a fae in medieval, pre-medieval Britain, and her people are seen by the church and the big society as basically heretics, and so they while they live plain lives, the church and the main villain, led by Father Cardin. He leads the Red Paladins, who are basically tasked with wiping them out, wiping out the Fae. So they go from village to village, burning them, killing men, women, and children. And basically, since he's basically waging a crusade against them with the endorsement of the Pope. So that sets up the series, and so basically, has is Nimue when they finally come to attack her, or attack her village. Her mother lends her this sword. It says, "You have to take it. This is the sword of destiny. It's very important to their people, and it's like you have to take it to the wizard Merlin." He's the most preeminent ancient druid sorcerer in this world. He's lived for several hundred years, and he's well known by everyone. And this one, he's played by Gustav Skarsgård. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he played Floki in Vikings, one of my favorite shows, and I love that character, Floki. So it's great to see him get in this role. He brings that same kind of craziness to that role. And what's great about it is because he's kind of in the middle of everything. He's the one negotiating between different parties to try to make deals and try to either make peace or get an advantage for himself. And that way, he's kind of despised all around. He's needed, but he's also despised by every party because many people is viewed as a traitor to his own people, to the ancient druids. They feel like he sold them out, and then also to the Fays, they feel like he's just negotiating and selling them out. So it's very interesting to see his character go that. But basically, so Nimue, she has a sword, and throughout the whole time, she's learning how to use a sword, and it brings out magic in her. So whenever she uses a sword, she gets like these veins pop out in her face, and she's able to use magic and to take out all the enemies. And so she's very much feared. In fact, to a point, the enemies call her the Blood Wolf Witch, because she has a way of using this magic, and then she's gathered all the remaining Fae to her side, and also any other people who hate the Paladins, because the Paladins are much feared in the country, and so they unite against them. So, and then there's also other antagonists. There's Uther Pendragon, obviously from the Arthurian legend. He's the king of the land, and of course he wants to get a hold of the sword, because the sword, it's sort of destiny, and whoever wields it basically is pretty much proclaimed the King of Kings of Britain, and it'll legitimize his reign. So he wants it. Also, there's also an Ice King who claims to be the legitimate king, claims that Uther is illegitimate, and that he's an usurper, and that he is the real Pendragon. So he's also in the mix too. He's also waging war. So you can tell it definitely has a Game of Thrones kind of feel to it. That all these different parties competing for the throne to have ultimate power and throwing the magic. And then of course there's the other side characters too. Of course, Arthur himself is also in the show as a character. But instead of a prince or a future king, he's a mercenary, and he works alongside Nimue to further her cause. And they've obviously got a love relationship, kind of romantic relationship, kind of grows over time with them. And then his sister Morgana, also from the Arthurian legend, she's as well plays a close friend of Nimue's. And then also on the side of Father Cardan is the Weeping Monk. Basically, he's the one that's of Father's forces. He's the most feared because he's a very fearsome swordsman, and he just goes through and pretty much is wiping out the Fae. He's leading the armies, and pretty much whenever anyone comes up against him in a fight, they're pretty much bound to lose. So he's one of the main antagonists that's Harrow's Nimue and the Fae throughout the series. So I think that's basically everything. And so and then of course the sword she wields as this magic sword. Of course, everybody would know from Third Legend is known as Excalibur. In this series is known as the Devil's Tooth because whenever you wield it and use magic, everyone's afraid of the magic, especially the paladins. And so it's known by that name whenever the Fae, and it's like the most sacred sword in Fae culture, and he believes whoever wields it will restore the Fae to prominence, and so that's why it's much feared, and that's why the paladins in the church want to get it from her. So, anyways, I thought this was a very good. I thought it was a very good series. I think it's a good twist on the Arthurian legend. They have female protagonists instead of just Arthur. I mean, Arthur plays a role, but he's not the permanent one. It's all Nimue and her journey. Basically, how she wants to. She has to. Many times grapple with the legacy her mother left her, leaving her that sword and then she also has to go meet Merlin because she has to deliver the sword to him, and then kind of once she meets him, grapple with who he is and what she means to her life and her destiny. And then of course the competition between Uther, the Ice King, and her, all this grapple for power going back and forth. Makes for a very intriguing series. So I think it was well acted. Well put together. I think this is a really fun show. The only drawback is, as I said before, it's kind of reminiscent of Game of Thrones, and it's very much trying to be Game of Thrones, and it's not Game of Thrones. It's definitely not to that production level yet. It's not to those really rich storylines. I can see that it's kind of somewhat on its way, and the way the show ended, it very much it left it off in a good place that I'm looking forward to seeing a season 2. I'm pretty confident there will be a season 2. So I'd like to see how the story further progresses, and hopefully Netflix will give them the amount of time for it to really breathe and develop. So other than the fact that it's trying to be Game of Thrones and it's kind of over its breaches, I still think it's a really fun show, and it's worth checking out. So I do recommend that for if you're a fan of fantasy, you're a fan of the Arthurian legend. I say check it out. It's a fun. It's 10 episodes. It goes by pretty fast, and the characters go through a great journey in this, and they're well developed. And I just love shows like this. They kind of deal with Arthurian legends and the historical fantasy. So I think it was really well done. So I recommend Cursed on Netflix. So once again, thank you for calling in, tuning in, guys, and like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.